our respected teacher and fellow classmates, a pleasant day to all. I am honored to serve as a presider for today's academic debate. The topic that we will discuss is Rizal's retraction controversy, one of the most significant and widely debated issues in the Philippine history. Today, our debate will present two different perspectives on this historical issue. The affirmative side will argue that Jose Rizal genuinely returned to the Catholic faith and signed the retraction document before his execution. They will present historical records and other evidence that they believe support the authenticity of the document. On the other hand, the negative side will argue that Rizal never truly retracted his beliefs or that the retraction document was forged or signed under questionable circumstances. They will present arguments based on the late discovery, the opinions of historians, and other evidence that raises doubts about its authenticity. The purpose of this debate is not only to determine which side presents a stronger argument, but also to encourage us to examine historical evidence carefully, think critically, and appreciate a history that can have different interpretations. As students, it is important for us to analyze information objectively, respect different viewpoints, and support our conclusions with credible evidence. As your presider, I kindly remind all participants and debaters to observe proper decorum throughout this activity. Each team will be given equal time to present their opening statements, supporting arguments, rebuttals, and closing statements. I also ask everyone to listen attentively, avoid interruptions, and show respect to all speakers regardless of their position. With that, let us begin our debate for Rizal's retraction controversy. For the first speaker of Team A, present your claim.
Good afternoon, everyone. To the honorable moderator, our worthy opponents, and the esteemed members of this floor, we stand before you today to affirm one clear and historically grounded position. Jose Rizal genuinely returned to the Catholic faith and willingly signed the retraction document on the eve of his execution on December 30, 1896. The retraction of Jose Rizal was not a fabrication. It was not a coercion. It was a sincere, personal, and fully documented return to the faith in which he was born and raised, and the evidence makes this undeniably clear. First, let us look at the eyewitness testimony. Father Vicente Balaguer, a Jesuit missionary who personally knew Rizal from his exile in Dapitan, was present during Rizal's final hours at Fort Santiago. He documented that Rizal did not simply sign what was handed to him. Rizal actually negotiated the wording of the document. He objected to language that broadly condemned Masonry because he had met Masons in London who held no hostility toward the Catholic faith. Only after Jesuits allowed him to revise the text to his satisfaction did Rizal sign the retraction before midnight. This negotiation alone is powerful proof of a free and conscious decision. A forged document does not need to be negotiated by the man it was supposedly forged for. Second, the document itself was authenticated. Teodoro Calao, a foremost expert on Rizal's handwriting and a 33rd degree Mason himself, verified after a thorough review that the retraction was written in Rizal's own hand. This is critical. Calao had every reason to reject the document if it were fake. Instead, he confirmed its authenticity. His credibility as a Mason removes accusation of Catholic bias in this verification. Third and last, prominent Filipino historians affirm this position. Nicolas Zafra, Professor Emeritus of History at the University of the Philippines and President of the Philippine Historical Association, declared in his book The Historicity of Rizal's Retraction that the retraction is, and we quote, a plain, unadored fact of history. having all the marks and indications of Rizal's historical certainty and reality. So the evidence is there, the eyewitness is there, the expert verification is there, the historical scholarship is there. Therefore, we firmly uphold with our stand that Rizal's retraction was real. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Team A. Now, for the first speaker of the Team B, you will start questioning their claim.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Question number 1. Is it true that the original retraction document was reported lost for 39 years before it was suddenly rediscovered in 1935?
No.
Then can you confirm that Father Francisco Pascual concluded, after examining the document, that the alleged original retraction was a forgery?
No.
Then is it true that several versions of Rizal's retraction contains differences in wording, punctuation, paragraphing, and even the names of witnesses?
No.
Then can you deny that Father Balagi himself admitted in his letter that he did not know nor remember whose handwriting appeared in the copy he received, and even said he only suspected it might have been written by Rizal?
No.
Then is it true that Rizal never mentioned retracting his beliefs to his mother and sister during their final visit, despite Father Balagi's claim that he had already signed the retraction?
Yes.
That's all.
Okay, thank you. Now, for the first speaker of the Team B, you will now present your claim.
Good afternoon, everyone. To our honorable moderator, respected opponents, and distinguished audience, we stand before you today to uphold the position that Jose Rizal never truly retracted his beliefs, or that the alleged retraction document was forged or signed under highly questionable circumstances. The issue has remained controversial for more than a century because the available evidence contains numerous inconsistencies that cast serious doubt on the authenticity of the retraction. First, the circumstances surrounding the document itself are highly suspicious. According to the source, the original retraction document, allegedly signed by Rizal, was kept secret and was later reported lost when Rizal's family requested to see it. It was only rediscovered 39 years later in the Archdiocesan archives. Even after its discovery, Father Ricardo Pascual, who was allowed to examine the document, concluded that it was a forgery. Furthermore, the source points out that the different versions of the retraction, the newspaper copies, Father Balagi's copy, Father Pi's copy, and the so-called original, contain numerous differences in wording, spelling, punctuation, paragraphing, and even the names of witnesses. If the document were genuinely authentic, why would there be so many inconsistencies among the copies? Second, Rizal's own actions during his final hours contradict the claim that he sincerely abandoned his beliefs. The source states that when his mother and sister visited him, Rizal never mentioned signing a retraction, even though Father Balagi claimed that he had already done so. It also argues that Rizal knew signing such a document would not save him because his sentence had already been decided by a military tribunal. More importantly, Rizal remained calm, steadfast, and prepared to die for his country. His writings and behavior showed no signs of religious instability or fear of death. As the source emphasizes, Rizal's character throughout his life was marked by consistency and courage, making it unlikely that he would suddenly renounce the principles he defended for many years. Finally, even Father Balagi's own statements raised questions. In his letter for Father P, he admitted that he did not know nor remember whose handwriting appeared in the copy he received, and even stated that he only suspected it might have been written by Rizal. Such uncertainty weakens the reliability of the evidence being presented in favor of the retraction. Therefore, based on the inconsistencies in the documents, the questionable testimonies, and Rizal's unwavering character, we firmly maintain that the alleged retraction remains doubtful and that Jose Rizal was most likely never truly abandoned the beliefs for which he lived and ultimately died. That's all.
Okay, please remain standing, Team B, as Team A will question your claim.
Good afternoon once again. For the first question, is it true that Teodoro Calao, a 33rd-degree Mason and therefore someone with no reason to favor the Catholic Church, personally verified that the retraction document was written in Rizal's own handwriting?
No.
Is it not true that if the retraction were simply forged after Rizal's death, there would have been no need for Rizal to negotiate and revise the wording of the document before signing it, as testified by Father Balaguer?
No.
Can you confirm that Nicolas Zafra, a credentialed professor emeritus of history at the University of the Philippines, which is a secular and not a Catholic institution, publicly declared that the retraction has historically certain in his published academic work?
No.
Is it true that Rizal was buried inside the sacred grounds of Paco Cemetery, a Catholic burial site which would have been impossible under church law if he had died without reconciling with the Catholic faith?
No.
Is it not a fact that multiple witnesses, including priests, Spanish officials, and secular observers were physically present during Rizal's final hours, making a secret forgery of his signature extremely difficult to execute without any of them exposing it?
Yes.
Then you are saying that the multiple witnesses during Rizal's final hours were useless.
Okay, thank you, first speakers. Let's proceed to the second speaker of Team A. You will now present your claim.
Good day once again to our honorable moderators, respected opponents, distinguished judges, and members of the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, our opponents have attempted to cast doubt upon Rizal's retraction. However, in history, as in a court of law, doubt alone is not evidence. The burden of proof rests upon Team B to demonstrate that the retraction was fabricated, yet they have failed to present conclusive historical proof. Instead, they rely on isolated interpretations while disregarding the overwhelming body of documentary evidence, eyewitness testimony, and historical scholarship. Allow me to address these claims one by one. First, our opponents rely heavily on the handwriting analysis of Dr. Ricardo Pascual. However, according to Father John N. Schumacher, one of the foremost historians of 19th century Philippine history, the authenticity of Rizal's retraction cannot be determined by handwriting analysis alone. Schumacher explains that historical conclusions must be based on the totality of evidence, including documentary records, eyewitness accounts, and historical context. Dr. Pascual's analysis represents only one interpretation and has never been accepted as the unanimous conclusion of historians. A single disputed opinion cannot overturn the combined weight of historical evidence. Second, Team B argues that textual differences among copies of the retraction prove forgery. However, according to the National Historical Commission of the Philippines 2012, minor variations among handwritten 19th century documents are not uncommon because documents were manually copied before the advent of modern reproduction technologies. Such differences do not automatically establish forgery. More importantly, the rediscovered original manuscript found in the Archdiocese of Manila in 1935 substantially corresponds with earlier published versions and significantly strengthened the historical case for its authenticity. Third, our opponents claimed that Father Vicente Balaguer could not have witnessed Rizal's final hours because his name allegedly does not appear in one Spanish military surveillance report. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an argument form silence, a logical fallacy that assumes an event did not occur simply because one document fails to mention it. According to Father John Schumacher, historical evidence must be evaluated collectively rather than selectively. The absence of Father Balaguer's name in one report cannot invalidate multiple contemporaneous testimonies and church records describing Rizal's confession, his careful review and revision of the retraction, and his subsequent Catholic marriage to Josephine Bracken. Furthermore, according to Father Vicente Balaguer's own witness account, Rizal did not blindly sign the document. He carefully examined its contents, requested modifications to certain passages, and voluntarily signed it only after those revisions were made. Such detailed testimony is difficult to dismiss because it comes from a direct participant in the historical event itself. Finally, Team B argues that Rizal's burial proves he died without reconciling with the Catholic Church. However, according to the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, the circumstances of Rizal's burial were heavily influenced by the Spanish colonial government because he had been executed as a political prisoner. Therefore, the conditions of his burial cannot be treated as conclusive evidence regarding his religious reconciliation. Political restrictions should not be confused with religious doctrine. Team B has presented suspicious interpretations and isolated objections. Team A, on the other hand, has presented primary witnesses, testimonies, respected historical scholarship, and the official findings of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines. When independent historians such as Nicholas Zafra, leading scholars such as Father John Schmeischer, primary witnesses such as Father Vicente Balaguer, and the National Historical Commission of the Philippines all recognize the substantial evidence supporting the retraction, the more reasonable historical conclusion becomes clear. History is decided not by speculation but by credible evidence. Therefore, until stronger and more convincing evidence is presented to disprove these historical records, we firmly maintain that Dr. Jose Rizal genuinely signed the retraction before his execution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Team A. Now, Team B will now start to question their claim.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So then, handwriting expert Dr. Ricardo Pascual's scientific study conclude that the 1935 retraction document contains a natural pen, leaves, and tracing?
No.
Then, is it the vital word Catholica completely missing from the 1935 document, even though the Jesuits included in their published 1897 versions?
No.
Does the independent military spy reports from the Cuerpo de Vigilancia completely omit the name of your star witness, Father Vicente Balaguer?
No.
Under the Catholic canon law, is a repentant sinner who reconciles with the church granted a Christian burial in a funeral mass?
No.
See, did the Catholic Church record Dr. Jose Rizal's name in the official Catholic burial registry on December 13, 1896?
Yes.
That's all.
Okay, Team B, please remain standing for your claim.
So thank you. So let's proceed. So while our opponents rely entirely on the words of Spanish priests who had everything to gain by recruiting Rizal, view B is backed by forensic science, independent military records, and structural evidence. We rely heavily on behavioral consistency, forensic discrepancies, and systematic corruption, which makes for highly persuasive arguments. First, we look at forensic evidence. Handwriting expert Dr. Ricardo R. Pascual subjected the 1934 archival document to scientific analysis in his landmark study, Dr. Rizal Beyond the Grave. He discovered unnatural pen leaves in the signature, specifically in the deliberate execution of the letter Z, alongside an artificial rightward slant. This scientifically proves that the document was the product of a slow, calculated forgery entirely lacking Rizal's natural fluid penmanship. Second, we look at the textual inconsistencies. If a document is genuine, copies printed directly from it should be identical. Yet, the 1934 archival discovery fails to match the verbatim versions published by the Jesuit priest in 1897. The 1935 version is missing the vital word Catholica and changes the prime I praise my calidad to mil qualidad. These glaring textual differences strongly indicate that this document found decades later was a clumsy fabrication. Third, we examine the independent spy resort. In 1995, independent Spanish military records from the Cuerpo de Vigilancia were discovered. While the report by agent Federico Moreno notes that a document was signed, it served as a devastating blow to the opposition. Why? because it completely exposes the church's primary narrative as a fraud. Father Vicente Balaguer famously swore under oath that he was the main priest who successfully convinced Rizal to retract. Yet the independent military log lists every single visitor to Rizal cells, and Father Balaguer's name is nowhere to be found. If the church main witness fabricated his entire presence in the cell, the integrity of the entire retraction claim completely collapses. Finally, we look at the outcast burial. Catholic canon law strictly dictates that a reconciled Catholic who returns to the faith must receive a proper Christian burial. Yet Rizal was denied a funeral mass. His body was dumped like heretic in an unmarked grave completely outside the consecrated holy ground of Paco Cemetery, and his name was blacklisted and omitted from the official Catholic burial registry for that day. The church's own structural actions prove they knew he died and a pre-redundant heretic. The receipts do not lie. That's all.
Okay. Please, for the Team A, please remain standing. Team B, for Team A will question your claim.
So these questions are answerable by yes or no. First question, is it true that no recognized historical institution in the Philippines, including the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, has officially declared the Rizal Retraction document to be a proven forgery?
No.
Second question, is it true that Dr. Ricardo Pascual's handwriting analysis represents only one interpretation and is not the unanimous position of historians?
No.
Question number 3. Is it true that minor textual differences among 19th century handwritten documents do not automatically prove that a document is forged?
No.
Question number 4. Is it true that the absence of Father Vicente Balaguer's name from one military report does not conclusively prove that he was never present during Rizal's final hours?
No.
Last question. Is it true that no court or official historical body has never ruled that the rediscovered 1935 retraction document is fake?
Yes.
Thank you. Therefore, there has been no official historical or legal determination declaring that the rediscovered document is fraudulent. Your position remains one interpretation among several historical views. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, second speakers. Now, for the third speaker of the Team A, you may now present your claim.
Good day again to our honorable moderator, respected judges, our opponents, and everyone here. As the third speaker for Team A, I'll be reinforcing why the evidence on our side is still stronger, more credible, and more in line with accepted historical standards than the arguments from Team B. Throughout this debate, our opponents have kept asking us to set aside decades of historical scholarship based mostly on suspicion and conflicting interpretations. But history isn't changed by guesswork. It's built on evidence that is carefully checked, supported by multiple sources, and accepted by qualified historians. Let's look at the facts. Team B relies heavily on Dr. Ricardo Pascual handwriting analysis. While his work is respected, it is just one interpretation among many. No recognized historical institution in the Philippines has officially said that the retraction document is a forgery. Even now, the Philippine Historical Commission of the Philippines acknowledges that the authenticity of the retraction has been debated, but it has never been said that it is fake. Our opponents also say that differences between copies of the retraction prove it was fabricated, but small differences are normal in handwritten documents from the 19th century. Before photocopies and digital tools existed, documents were copied by hand, so slight variations were completely expected. Those differences alone cannot overturn eyewitness testimony, authenticated handwriting, and historical records. On top of that, Team B keeps attacking Father Vicente Balaguer's testimony by pointing to the absence of his name in one military report. But the absence of evidence is not the same as evidence of absence. One incomplete record cannot erase multiple eyewitness accounts describing Rizal's confession, his review of the documents, and reconciliation with the Catholic Church. Most importantly, our opponents have not given conclusive proof that the retraction was forged. What they have offered are possibilities, assumptions, and doubts. In contrast, Team A has presented eyewitness testimony, expert handwriting verification by Teodoro Calao, respected historical scholarship from Nicholas Zapra and Father John Schumacher, and evidence that has stood the test of time. Ladies and gentlemen, in any fair judgment, the side with stronger evidence should win, while some reasonable questions may still remain. Questions alone cannot replace proof until undeniable evidence show that the retraction was fabricated. The most reasonable historical conclusion is that Dr. Jose Rizal genuinely signed the retraction before execution. For this reason, Team A firmly stands that Jose Rizal freely and voluntarily retracted his previous errors, reconciled with the Catholic faith, and signed the retraction document on the eye of his martyrdom. Thank you, and may truth always prevail.
Okay, thank you, Team A. Now, Team B will start to question their claim.
Greetings. I have a question that are answerable by yes or no questions. Now, is it true that the church kept this original document hidden from Rizal's family, the public, and historians for nearly 40 years before it was mysteriously discovered in 1935?
No.
Was Rizal still denied a standard Christian burial, denied a coffin, and thrown into an unmarked grave in an unhallowed ground outside the inner wall of Paco Cemetery, despite the claim that he died a fully reconciled, devout Catholic in good standing with the Church?
No.
Since a formal retraction was strictly required by the Church to allow Rizal to legally marry Josephine Bracken, has there been any official, signed marriage certificate or canonical registry entry found to prove that the wedding actually took place?
No.
In the definitive final statement of Rizal that he secretly wrote and preserved for his country, is there any mention of a retraction, an apology to the Catholic Church, a renunciation of Masonry, or a fear of hell with anywhere within the 14 stanzas of Mi Ultimo Adios?
No.
Now, is it true that Father Vicente Balaguer was later exposed by historical records as not even being the priest officially assigned to Fort Santiago on the night of Rizal's execution?
Yes.
Then you are agreeing to the fact that the credibility of your primary source witness is compromised. Therefore, the document is highly suspect.
Okay, thank you. Team B, please remain standing to present your claim.
Once again, present greetings to everyone. The opposition asks you to rely on dubious documents and suspiciously stationed witnesses that were only seen by the light of day decades after the fact. But we ask you to see the character of a man who lived his whole life with unyielding integrity. Our claim relies on a psychological and moral profile that makes the alleged late-night capitulation of Jose Rizal a historical and behavioral impossibility. Rizal never truly retracted his beliefs. Either the document was forged or it was signed under questionable circumstances, as it was greatly inconsistent of his character, which carried an unyielding commitment to the intellectual honesty, reason, and moral courage. Throughout his life, he rarely did anything out of fear or without deep, calculated conviction. The sudden late-night conversion is an incredibly radical and characteristic psychological collapse that doesn't align with his behavior hours before or hours after his execution. A man such as Rizal, who spent his entire life refining his convictions, would not completely dismantle his life's works in a matter of minutes just because a priest threatened him with eternal damnation. It is a severe behavioral inconsistency. If Rizal retracted and completely submitted to the Spanish Church at 11:30 p.m., why does Mi Ultimo Adios, which represents his actual, uncoerced final thoughts to his countrymen, contain absolutely no meaning of recanting, no apology to the Church, and no fear of hell? The character in the poem is entirely inconsistent with the character in the retraction document. Rizal believed that living a lie was the ultimate dishonor. A man such as him, who who wrote extensively about the importance of truth and fighting hypocrisy, would not just sign a document calling his own life's work an error just for symbolic ceremony. Believing that in a span of an hour, the most consistent, rational, and courageous mind of the Filipino propaganda movement completely broke, validating his oppressors, and cheapening the very writings that defined his life is the true result of believing in the retraction. Add to the fact that Father Vicente Balaguer, who was the primary eyewitness to Rizal's signing of the document, was later exposed as not even being the official priest assigned at Fort Santiago, is a great compromise to the credibility of the primary source witnesses. The witnesses' credibility is compromised. The document does not match the man, and therefore, the document is highly suspect.
Now, Team B, please remain standing for Team A will question your claim.
Good day to you. You can answer this question by only answering yes or no. First question. Is it true that your argument about Rizal's character is based on your interpretation of his personality rather than on direct historical proof that he did not sign the retraction?
No.
Second question. Did Jose Rizal write any original document after the alleged retraction in which he explicitly states that he refused to retract his beliefs?
No.
Third question. It is true that Mi Ultimo Adios never directly states that Rizal rejected the Catholic Church or denied signing a retraction.
No.
Fourth question. Even if Father Vicente Balaguer's testimony is questioned, does that alone conclusively prove that the retraction document is a forgery?
No.
Fifth and final question. It is correct that no official historical institution or court has ever declared Rizal retraction document to be definitively fake.
Yes.
Then you are saying that about Rizal retraction, that retraction was real, presented were indeed factual.
Okay, thank you, debaters and speakers. Now we have reached the conclusion of today's debate on the motion concerning whether Dr. Jose Rizal genuinely signed a retraction document and reconciled with the Catholic Church before his execution. Throughout this debate, both teams presented substantial historical evidence and carefully reasoned arguments. Team A argued that retraction was authentic, citing eyewitnesses' accounts, the handwriting verification, and the historical findings of Nicolas Zafra. However, for the team, we challenged the authenticity of the retraction by presenting forensic handwriting analysis, textual inconsistencies among surviving copies, independent military records, questioning surrounding Father Vicente Balaguer's testimony, and arguments concerning Rizal's burial and the consistency of his lifelong beliefs and writings. They maintain that these factors raise serious doubts about whether the retraction was genuine. The exchange of arguments and cross-examinations has demonstrated that the issue of Rizal's retraction remains one of the most debated topics in Philippine history. More importantly, today's debate reminds us that history is not merely about accepting claims at face value, but about carefully examining evidence, evaluating sources, considering differing interpretations, and engaging in respectful critical discourse. We extend our sincere appreciation to both teams for their preparation, confidence, and professionalism throughout the debate. With that, this concludes for today's debate. The final decision now rests in the hands of our distinguished panel of judges. Thank you and have a pleasant day.